The biggest talk right now about Daniel Cormier is Daniel Cormier's pending retirement. That should not be the biggest talk on Daniel Cormier. We should not allow that to be the narrative, because whether he's got a pending, everybody's got a retirement coming up. Everybody's got a release, a relinquishment, an exit from the sport coming up. They just don't know when it is. Daniel's is a little bit different because he gave us the expiration date of March 6th, which signifies his 40th birthday. So that has become the headline, but we got a two-division reigning world champion successfully defended both titles that could have the biggest fight of 2019 in front of him should he get that match with Brock Lesnar. I understand he could have an even bigger match in front of him should he get in there with Jon Jones. I would just also tell you, Daniel can only do so many things at a time. If you would like him to get the Brock Lesnar fight, and is my understanding that essentially unanimously we would like him to get the Brock Lesnar fight. We're not in a position to pick, would we rather see Lesnar versus Cormier or Jones versus Cormier? That's not even on the table. So don't put that on Daniel. Let him get through the Brock Lesnar fight. Let's just agree to do that. Then, if we all want to start harping on him and go, you said March, but we could have Jon Jones in there with you by summer. We're only 3 months apart. That's pretty close. What do you think? Well, then there's a place for that. But where we get out of order is that Jon Jones has Gustafsson in front of him at the end of the year. The reason that is so relevant is because the first fight was so incredibly competitive and close. We will see a diminished Jon Jones in this next fight. He is coming off a suspension, and he did not use that suspended time wisely. We will see a diminished Jon Jones. We have seen a diminished Jon Jones one other time in our lives. That was against OSP. The single worst Jon Jones has ever looked inside that octagon. He still won every part of that contest. He won the striking, he won the grappling, he won the endurance, he won the strategy, and he won every single round and left there with a world championship. That's just how good he is. So there's no put down here coming Jon Jones's way. There's just a reality that when a guy has been out and he did not use his time wisely, and he's going to be diminished when we have the evidence of the first fight, which we do have, there was no room. There was no room in that fight to go down. It was a split decision. I personally thought Gustafsson won. One judge agreed with me, two did not. But it was that close of a fight. That's the only reason I tell you the score of the fight. It was just that close of a fight. There's no room for error. They were splitting hairs out there. It would also be very fair for you guys to counter what I just said by saying, wouldn't it be reasonable to believe we're going to see a diminished Gustafsson in that fight? That part I couldn't answer to. He wasn't coming off the suspension. So he's not going to be without the help of the chemicals that he had before. That won't happen. But he also hasn't been in there for in a meaningful period of time. Did he use that time wisely? I don't actually know. I don't know on Gustafsson if he did or not. I would trust that he did. He's a very disciplined guy. Two different psychologies there, two different level of disciplines. And you guys can see where that would make sense. Jon Jones has climbed that mountain. Time and time again, he's climbed it. How many times does he want to climb it? Gus hasn't. So just basic logic would tell you about the hunger. So I think that we could reasonably assume that Gus used that time wisely. Where am I going with this? Well, guys, Daniel Cormier is not inserted in this. We keep having a dialogue of Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones. Daniel Cormier, to our understanding, has his plate full in a different weight class, in a different year of 2019 with a different opponent named Brock Lesnar. And currently, Jon Jones, in a different weight class, has his plate full with a guy who one licensed, certified, ringside judge thought beat him the last time they fought. Should Gus get the jump on Jones? I do not believe that you guys will still be wanting to see Cormier versus Jones. I believe at the forefront. I think you're going to want to see Gus versus Jones Part 3. We will only know should those events happen and once we get through them happening. But that would just be my early prediction for you. And somehow Daniel Cormier is taking the weight of this. And his legacy is continuing to be called into question here. his mindset, his achievements, and his accomplishments out of fans' own selfish, corrupt desire to see him and Jones again. And I share that. I also have a corrupt desire to see them fight again. I am just willing to admit to you that that's where this is coming from. It is not because I actually think they have to fight. I will also remind you of this, okay? I do not believe in any possible scenario, again in this lifetime, or at least athletic lifetime, that Daniel Cormier ever weighs 205 pounds. I do not believe that to be true, but let's make believe, or let's just say that that's where he agrees to fight Jon Jones. Because Jon Jones has also been very stubborn to say he will not move up. I tend to think that Jon Jones is telling the truth. I think he could be talked out of it, but I think he's telling the truth. I don't know that Daniel Cormier has the ability to return to 205 pounds. But I would share with you this and remind you the heavyweight champion of the world is the king of the world. In every sport, from Hulk Hogan to Muhammad Ali to Daniel Cormier, whoever holds a heavyweight strap rules the world. So to ask Daniel Cormier, or to make believe that he should set his crown down to go and try to become the prince, it doesn't work that way. Whatever wrongs he feels he has to right, or whatever peer pressure is going to be put on him from you guys, from myself, from the promotion, that's not the way it works. The president does not become the vice president. To ask Daniel Cormier to go after the 205-pound championship, and don't forget, it would be after the championship, because he is going to be stripped. So if Jon Jones is to be the guy, then that means that Jones has to beat Gus, and Jon is the official champion. So you'd be asking Daniel to go down in weight to take on a much less prestigious belt, with the caveat and the narrative being it's to fix his legacy. Even though that isn't true. The real truth is you just want to see the fight one more time. But what gives you the best chances to see the fight? Put as much pressure on the guy as you possibly can. Tell me you respect him if he does one thing, and you'll lose respect for him as he does the other. I get it. That's what's actually happening there. And it just may work. But there'll have to be some meeting in the middle. And as much as I'm giving you guys this talk and this speech, I do believe we are going to see Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones Part 3. But it needs to be, and it will be, at heavyweight. But it also needs to be at heavyweight. It does not make sense for the king to go after a lesser crown. Don't forget that.